I am now off mute. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some money on the internet or lose all of it. That is what it's looking like today. Loaded up for discussion. We have an absolute crypto bloodbath. Bitcoin is down 7%. ETH is down. It might actually even be worse than this from when I wrote it, but this is when I wrote it. BTC is down 7, ETH was down 11%. I think it's now as much as 15%. Sol is also down something similar. Memes are, you don't want to look at those, they're even worse. We'll get into that in a bit. Aptos CEO steps down after 3 years and raising $400 million. We'll break down what's going on there. And yet on the Doodles side, on the NFT side, Doodles have ripped 60% higher to 7 ETH after teasing a token. Flight to Doodles, flight to safety. We'll discuss what's going on with all of these assets as usual and more. We've also got an awesome conversation with Bing from MegaETH, Ethereum L2, which seeks to juice Ethereum to its maximum potential. Bing is the co-founder, so we are very much looking forward to the insight on both product and the business aspects of MegaETH's development. So stay tuned for that today. Today we've got Bread and Legendary in the co-host seats. We're ready to get into it, but just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say here is financial advice, unfortunately, because we don't know anything for sure. And this market is very red and it's very risky. So please do your own research, exercise your own judgment, and proceed with caution. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Friday. It is the 20th of December. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM, doing quite well. I am not really bothered by the market, but I guess we'll speak about that very soon. Even started to DCA a bit into ETH. But I'm very, very happy. Just still waiting for the weekend to recover a bit health-wise, but I'm in an excellent mood.
Sounds like someone stabled up and has taken some profits over this bull run so far. That's what it sounds like to me, Legendary.
You know me.
Very good. Taking some profits. Always be selling. This is the thing that I've been thinking this run up. Always just be selling a bit. Keep taking some profits all the time. You'll probably be happier. Bread, how are things your side? What's going on with you? I assume you didn't even know that the market was down. Is that the case?
You know me too well. Yes, I mean, I know because everyone talks about it, but I don't know from my own personal observations. It's not my jam. Like as we always say, up to the right, long term. And I'm busy, right? We got Bing going. We gotta write some notes about this stuff. I'm healing because I'm traveling right now. I just finished my 6th of 6 sessions on my legs. I'm getting them tattooed. If you guys have seen those on the timeline, so yeah, a lot going on. Can't really be worried about prices.
Yes, I think that is fair. Am I right to say, Brett, during this tattoo process, there's been a fair amount fewer nude photos so far? Like that kind of aspect of photography has been parked for a little bit. It's more tattoo focused for the moment. Are you going to switch back at any point soon?
You know, I haven't exposed since I joined Mega in early November, so I've gained a lot of followers, people interested in the project, whatever. I don't think I've posted my bum shot since before that, so there's going to be a surprise for a lot of people.
This is a corporate decision. This has been.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing but these people aren't aware of that content that I can produce. So surprise, coming.
It's coming for the people that are maybe new to the show, because there's also a lot more viewers and listeners now to the show than we had even a month ago or so. Bread is one of our favorite co-hosts. Of course, he is at MegaETH. He's known for fantastic content on ETH L2s, all things Ethereum, and some spicy photos. If you want to follow along for that, which you definitely should do.
Look, the thesis is simple. I spent a lot of time and money and pain, frankly, I was working on a bodysuit for people who don't know. And so I always thought it would be, I lived in Norway for a while, and I always saw like these beautiful landscapes. And I just had this dream of like, I want to take a picture of beautiful landscapes with like what I deem to be beautiful, which would be my bodysuit. I think it's very artistic. It's whatever. So it's always been an ambition of mine. And now since I'm traveling a lot, I just do it full bum out.
This is how you know we've got a group of guys here just not affected by the market. Like Legendary posting photos of, I don't know what fine liquor that was with his McDonald's this morning. Bread's just focused on his on his body and his tattoos. Good company to talk about what is going on. Let's get into it as usual, starting with the price action, starting with the majors. It's not pretty, guys. I'm going to tell you that for sure. Bitcoin is down 10% to now 92,300. And that's down 7% in the week. For a bit further context, ETH is down 16% to 3.1K. That is down 20% on the week. And Solana is down 16%, also down 20. Well, this one's down 22% in the week to $176. That is looking pretty bad, if I'm being honest. Getting into the memes, I assume you know not to be seeking any respite there. Got Dogecoin down 26% in the last 24 hours. That is down to 26 cents. Pepe is down 25% as well. Bonk is down almost 20%. WIF is down 25%. Popcat, I mean, we've been talking about Popcat the last few days, actually getting absolutely wrecked, down 20% to 65 cents. That one as high as $2 not very long ago. AI16Z, even on the AI side, down 18%. Peanut down 27%. Look, if you're watching on the screen, you can kind of see the numbers are broadly similar, down 15 to 25%, almost across the board. However, Legendary, I'll just throw to you for a second. There is one coin that is bucking this trend. Maybe there's a few more, but there is one that we've been talking about the last couple of days. What is it? Why is it so strong?
It is Fartcoin. I mean, it is down a bit, actually. It used to hold up pretty well for the entire day, trading between 1 and 1.2 billion, 1.1 billion even. It's now down to 912 mil, but still holding up way better than the rest of the meme market. And it's also still holding up pretty well in terms of both sentiment and mindshare on Kaito, which seems to be the dominating meme right now, together with AIXPT, which is also holding up still pretty well at 240-ish mil.
Okay, good shout. And as you said, that had actually not dipped. It wasn't down at all an hour ago. That's just started to dip in the last kind of 50 minutes. Getting into the headlines themselves, as we said, crypto bloodbath, all the majors are pretty aggressively down. We're also going to be talking today about the Aptos CEO stepping down after 3 years, raised 400 mil, and now stepping aside to let the CTO take over as CEO. And finally, Doodles ripped 60% higher to 7 ETH after teasing a token. We've got to reflect on how these NFTs are still managing to attract and maintain a lot of the capital when the rest of the market has decided it does not want to hold digital assets, at least for the moment. Legendary, let's look at the NFT side then in a bit more detail first.
Absolutely, let's do it. NFTs are definitely one where there is a bit more green to showcase and the red is not as intense. Bored Apes down 4%, down 5% over the week, 17.36 ETH floor for them. Have gone back to flipping Pudgy Penguins, which are down 10% over the last 24 hours at the 16.6 ETH floor, down 37% from their peak 7 days ago. Azuki's still yet another green day for them, up another 8%, very close to getting back to the 11 ETH floor, 10.9 ETH floor for them, up 22% over the week. Doodles, as you just said, as part of the main headlines, going to get into that for sure, up 54% over the last 24 hours, up 64% over the last 7 days, sitting at a 6.7 ETH floor, even spiked higher yesterday, went up all the way to 8.15 ETH when they peaked there. Milady's, on the other hand, down 4%, 4.71 ETH floor for them. But also other collections that are moving up significantly, even post-TGE collections like Mochaverse, seeing a good amount of green, up 32% over the last 24 hours, up 70% over the last 7 days, sitting at a 2.6 ETH floor with just 10 sales or so away to go back to the 3 ETH floor. A similar picture for Cool Cats, even more extreme picture for Cool Cats, to be precise, up 37% over the last 24 hours, up 166% over the last 7 days, sitting at a 1.67 ETH floor.
Unequivocally crazy. Flight from all the assets into JPEGs, maybe not literally, but clearly JPEGs is the market, which is, well, the JPEGs which are having a token coming is the market to be in at the moment. We're going to give a little bit of a segment to that in just a little bit. Let's just get you up to speed with everything else that's happened in the space too. Remember, we're moving a little bit faster today because we have got the interview with Bing, co-founder of MegaETH, coming up today. That'll be in the half hour in 15 minutes. Looking forward to that. Just to get you up to speed with everything else then, Bitcoin and Ether combined ETF by Hashdex and Franklin Templeton was approved by the SEC in the last 24 hours. The market cap weight of that will be 80-20 Bitcoin ETH. I think that's pretty cool. That was reported by Eric Balkunas, our favorite Bloomberg correspondent. In addition, main Ethereum wallet MetaMask announces a MetaMask MasterCard. Seeing a lot of these cards coming up. We spoke to EtherFi founder Mike last week, and he was talking about their cash product as well. I think we're going to see more and more of that moving forward. Cerebro announces partnership with AI16Z to advance open source frameworks. That's on the AI crypto side. Niftify announced the largest ever on-chain loan using real estate in Los Angeles. That is pretty cool. Myriad Foundation and its token announced as part of rollout of Rug Radio's prediction market. That's pretty exciting for the guys at Rug Radio. Web3 pet battle and adventure game Omnia announced they'll launch on Monad. That is connected to the Sappy Seals. In some way, Wab was the person who made that announcement. Craig Wright, who claims to be Satoshi and founder of Bitcoin, was sentenced to jail in the UK for contempt of court. It's basically because he keeps trying to say that he's Satoshi, and they've told him that he has to stop. He has to stop. He has to stop bringing claims, and they've said you're now in contempt of court because you keep doing what we told you have to stop to do. And then finally, Hayley Welch, hacked to a meme coin creator, was sued for a rug pull. That is the last piece of news because we don't like talking about that nonsense in the space. Right. That is the Web3 roundup. We're going to have to keep it moving, guys. No time to dwell on the less important stuff today. Let's get straight into the most important stuff today. Legendary, crypto bloodbath, Bitcoin's down, ETH's down, Sol's down. Everything is red apart from JPEGs. Tell us what's going on in the crypto side.
Absolutely. Let's take a bit of a look at the stats. Obviously, the crash started with the last FOMC meeting that also specifically had JPAL mention Bitcoin in a bit of a negative light, saying that the Fed is not allowed to buy Bitcoin. That would require a change of law. They have no interest to push for one. And that has definitely sent crypto down a fair amount. In contrast, however, if you take a look at the stock market, which also tumbled, currently looking at the NASDAQ, which had peaked at around 20.2K points, that is now down to 19.4K points, down 800 points. However, had yesterday not too bad of a day, started, I think, up 0.5%, dipped down a bit. So yes, there is a correction in the stock market as well, especially for tech stocks. I think yesterday we also reported that 1.5 trillion got wiped out on the stock market specifically, but definitely the dip that we're seeing on the crypto side is way, way stronger than that. If you take a look at the liquidations, I'm just going to do that for BTC specifically. We can see that another 265 mil in longs over the last 24 hours for BTC have been liquidated. Definitely also see a reset in the amount of open interest that is getting flushed out. Taking a look at Polymarket for one additional data piece that I found interesting is this bet: what price will Bitcoin hit in December with 20 million volume, which basically works like that. If there's a 1 minute candle on Binance that hits this price specific for BTC, it counts as resolved positively. And if we look at the 110K, which basically would be the next step from the last all-time high that we had reached at around 107K, and the chance to see that being hit by the end of the year, so within the next 11 days, market is currently pricing that at an 11% chance that we're going to see a new all-time high for Bitcoin at $110,000.
And looking at that, it looks like the thing that the betting markets are betting on more is a slight move down from here. 90K is priced at 67%. And well, I mean, obviously that's easier now that we are where we are. And 85K is at 36%. So interesting to see that. Really good to see these visuals, by the way. If you're just listening in on the spaces, remember we do this live on video, on X video, and on YouTube as well, if you prefer to see the visuals at the same time. Fantastic breakdown, Legendary. Would love to actually bring Stats into the conversation if he is available today. Stats, I know you had some thoughts on Sailor, Bitcoin. I wondered if you wanted to maybe tie those into any general market thoughts at the moment.
I mean, it's just, I think the market was paying something like 30-40% for USDC, 30 to 40% APRs for USDC just a couple days ago. And what that means is people want to borrow dollars so they can buy crypto on leverage, and they're willing to pay up to 40% APR. So when these things go down, just the reflexive selling that happens because people have to unwind these 10x levered long positions, it's massive. So, it just kind of builds on itself when we go down. It kind of builds on itself on the way up because people buying 10x on the way up leads to a lot more buying as well. But it's just, this is the volatility we're dealt. And then, you kind of I don't think I think MicroStrategy contributes to the upside. I don't think you're seeing any unwind at all here. I think this is just more about the leverage within the ecosystem combined with Jerome Powell being a bit hawkish, talking about the Fed not buying Bitcoin, combined with the government shutdown that feels like it's looming. I think you just tack that all together, and it's a pretty violent down move. And we're seeing I was looking at Solana. Solana's down 20% from the election. Even from before the election, I think there's this sentiment right now we're still up big, and the people who I think are in that position are, one, people who are mainly in Bitcoin, and two, people who are aggressive profit takers who kind of stopped putting on trades a couple weeks ago. But even going back to the election, we're down in a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, really good points. That's really helpful analysis. To your point on the amount, the interest rate people were able to earn on their USDC, Athena's one of the ones I always track is staked USDE by Athena. That definitely got as high as 30 to 40%, which is what you were quoting. The person who's in charge of growth there just tweeted this yesterday. I'm showing this on screen for people who are watching in, just saying that seems to have been reset. Even just in the last 24 hours, the staked USDE APY has been published at 12% now. So I think we've seen a big kind of correction there.
That number goes up. What Athena captures is the amount of basically the APR people are paying to go long on leverage. So you would think right now, when everything is down so bad that basically nobody's going long. I mean, sure, people are going long on leverage who've been waiting, but most people who play that game just don't have the extra money, right? Or just aren't in the position to be throwing huge levered longs out right now. So I'm not too surprised it's down a lot.
Yeah, I think that kind of corroborates what you're saying. Brett, did you want to come in there? Or was that legendary?
Yeah, no, it's me. So I'm surprised we actually haven't seen taxes as a narrative getting thrown around these days. Because end of the year, people have been shitcoining for forever. Numbers have been up. People have to capture some of those profits. End of year, we got 2 weeks, right? I'm surprised. I literally haven't seen that even once. But that's always kind of the end of year thing.
I think Dees had posted that it's a good opportunity the market is providing to tax loss harvest now at the end of the year. But I wanted to chime back in real quick. I know we need to move on pretty soon on the lending APR side, because that is still that is seeing such a wide gap in the market. You obviously have mentioned Athena now. If you, for example, look on Fluid lending APR without any kind of extra bonuses is still 27.7% for USDC. So lending markets are all across the board from 12 to 25, 27-ish% for USDC lending.
Interesting. I think the Aave rate will be much lower though, right? At the moment.
Yes, that is definitely lower. Aave is currently
10 to 20?
9% from what I can see. Yeah.
Okay. So that is even though down, because even the Aave rate had spiked in the last few weeks. So always a very good indicator, guys, to keep an eye on the APR and USDC to know how risky everyone in the market is behaving. So very interesting to see there. I think what we'll do to keep the conversation moving, let's just connect it directly to the NFTs though, Legendary. We're talking how all of the crypto stuff is down, but why are the NFTs so strong? I'm showing the Mintify heat map on the board with us. You've got Doodles up almost 50% to 7 ETH. You've got duplicators up. Obviously, they're related to Doodles, but you've got Clone X up 25% today for God knows what reason. Remember, Artifact announced very recently that they're shutting down, they're stopping. They are no longer doing all the things that they said they were going to do, and the market has bid that up 25%. Sappy Seals is up 33%. There was that announcement about the Omnia gaming connection with Monad, so that's happening. Moonbirds is up again 15%. Azuki's up another 8%. Legendary, give us a quick one-liner here before we move to the next headline. What's the relationship going on with JPEGs?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is after Pudgy Penguins did the airdrop, distributed more than $1 billion, which someone put in a nice comparison to say that's more than Coca-Cola is distributing in quarterly dividends. Just to have that size comparison is now driving a bit of FOMO into what other collections will do a token. Some collections we know that they will do one. There was this post yesterday by Doodles, by Burnt Toast, the founder, basically insinuating, by the way, it was worded that it's going to be a token because the first letter of each word in the post added up to saying token is coming, I think was the exact wording. If you also look at Kaito for the mindshare map, you can see that Doodles are leading that. Still Pudgy Penguin in the second place, but Azukis have increased massively. They are the biggest gainers. And you can also see that there's like a lot of speculation going on around other collections where people are wondering, will they do another token? Might this be a token play? I had friends reaching out to me with projects from 2 years ago and being like, didn't they speak back then about doing a token? And these collections are even rallying. So I feel like there's a lot of money in the market that has been moving out from the Pudgy Penguins and has moved into Azukis and Doodles. We've seen some larger trader. I think Big Pengu .eth was one of them, took 100-ish ETH in profits, moved them all into Azuki. But we're also seeing the speculation on the smaller collections because just again, once more, looking at the unit price plus at the affordability with Azuki is close to 11 ETH, with Doodles around 7 ETH. Not everyone can afford one of those, so they're looking either at the secondary collections, seen the Doodles replicators also going up massively, despite nobody really having a clue if that collection from the Doodles ecosystem will be rewarded with a token, but also cheaper collections where people are trying to find an entry for a potential token play.
I like it. I think that's a really nice summary. I don't know if we need to dwell on that anymore. It's obviously a lot of speculation on the token play. I think it's a perfect example of, you know, that roller coaster meme where the Pudgy Penguins have gone first. That's the biggest loop. That's the biggest loop that there was going to be. None of the other ones compared to the Penguins. And then everyone's going to stay on the roller coaster, but every single next one is going to be smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You have expectation super high, but everyone's kind of agreed that the Penguins will probably have been the biggest one, and it just depends how big the next ones will be. Let's keep it moving though, because remember, in just 5 minutes, we're going to be getting into our an awesome conversation with Bing, who is the co-founder of MegaETH, who just completed a $10 million raise in their community round on Echo just the other day. So really excited to have that conversation in a bit. Staying on top of the founder mode for the last headline before that conversation though, Brad, we were talking before the show that Aptos CEO has stepped down after 3 years. What exactly is going on here? What's the quick TLDR? What's your take?
Yeah. All right. So we're talking about Aptos. Aptos, for people who don't remember, is a Move-based L1 that was actually spawned out of Move, being a programming language, spawned out of the Libra project that was actually originated from Facebook many years ago, right? So they launched 3 years ago. This guy, Moshik, was the CEO, and he stepped down, right? He just had a big post on Twitter and was just saying that, you know, his joy from this industry, or his joy in life, is in creating companies, growing companies, and he had achieved the certain threshold that he liked with Aptos and was stepping down, moving over for the CTO, Avery Ching, to take over the CEO role and do whatever. So yeah, the crypto space broadly has just gotten thrown up arms at it because it coincides with his unlock, or the vesting of his actual token allocation associated to Aptos, which obviously is not a good look. My personal take is I sympathize with him as a builder, because I frankly made a career out of doing exactly what he's talking about, right? Like I was a consultant. I would work for 2 years at a time. At 2 years, I would come in, start at ground level, build up this project, and then eventually transition to people that did the next phase of what was needed, right? Whether it's, you know, maintenance or whatever. Like there are phases to company growth. So I can just wanting to think people are generally good. It's hard for me to be too cynical. You know, I think it could be true that, yeah, like he maybe just likes creating companies, doing that early growth startup grind, and then once you get to the next phase, you transition to someone that's more long-term minded and let them do their thing. Again, not a good look with optics of the token unlock, but you know, maybe that's just a coincidence.
I think that's a completely fair take. I actually completely agree. When I used to be a teacher, there were definitely people, and I was in a failing school, and we had 3 different headmasters in the first 3 years, in the first year that I was there, because they kept getting sacked. It wasn't working. but they kept bringing in obviously teachers that were there who had the specific ability to take a school from nothing to like average. Like who can make that transition from terrible to not terrible? And then once you got to not terrible, they could then go and fix another school, and you get a different headmaster in to take the school from average to good, and then from good to outstanding. So I think that thing does exist. I guess we'll never know the true intention here. As you said, the financial incentives have finished either way. So that's the state of that. Thanks for giving that.
I'd sympathize a little bit more if it was like, because like company shut down, right? You're not profitable, whatever. That's a story, and like, you know, you gave it your best, it doesn't work out. You got his money, right? Like, so like, you know, if you really believed in it, you could stick around. Money is not an excuse at this point. The ecosystem being barren, I think, is something that a lot of people criticize them of. Yeah,
like it. Appreciate that for the update there. But let's get into our main conversation today. We've done with the headlines. This is the thing that we really wanted to get into today. We're delighted to welcome to the stage Bing. Bing is the co-founder of MegaETH, who are building the first real-time blockchain on Ethereum, which seeks to achieve 100,000 transactions per second with less than 10 millisecond block times. MegaETH announced their seed round in June of this year, where they raised $20 million, led by Dragonfly Capital, with some very prominent angels like Vitalik, Joseph Lubin, Sriram, and Kobe. They also just last week sold out a $10 million community round on Echo in seconds. Bing is also an advisor to Consensus and the founder of Hotpot DAO. In this conversation, we'll discuss Bing's history, journey towards MegaETH, the MegaETH story and product, and why its vision is so important for Ethereum, and how we can expect it to be leveraged in the future. Bing, welcome to the stage. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You know, I'm actually a little nervous because an ex-Consensus colleague just messaged me on Telegram. He said he loves your show. He listens every morning. And he's happy he's listening to me, so I want to say hi to him. I don't want to dox you, but yeah, feels weird that someone else I know is listening to this.
The people are watching Bing. Legendary, do you want to share quickly your story yesterday of the people who have been watching our show that you didn't know?
Yesterday, I spent the day at my accountants and tax advisors, and first of all, I was super surprised how big the team did grow, because I still remember when that used to be almost a one-man show. I was also surprised by the amount of people there who listen into our show. And it's quite weird, because it's something I expect more like to happen at NFT conferences, when you run around in your bubble, and then there's people who kind of recognize you because we do the show. But in that environment where I was just like there to take care about like some accounting and tax stuff, obviously being recognized felt a bit surreal.
What if they go, last week you were talking about this coin you're trading. We don't see it on your tax reports. What's going on there?
Dude, they could call me out for LARPing if I were to LARP, yeah.
The government are watching Legendary's moves by watching the show. So yeah, Bing, we sympathize. The people are watching. But look, let's get into it. Before we explore MegaETH itself, I mean, unfortunately, obviously Bread is with you guys, so we're going to do a proper deep dive on your product. I wanted to ask you about you. You've been a prolific writer on crypto and blockchain since 2021 on Substack, or at least that's what I noticed. Why did you first start writing about crypto and blockchain, and what led you to MegaETH?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I started writing, I actually worked at Consensus for many years. So got into crypto in 2017 during the ICO boom. But before that, I experienced a bit of crypto when I used to live in Africa. So a lot of the multinationals actually were using Bitcoin as a rail to get money from Africa continent, right? Because the monetary policy there is so bad. So I always just knew people who were using crypto. So like actually people always say, oh, where's mass adoption? I think if you look a bit farther from the Western sphere, a lot of people are actually already using crypto. And then, you know, I moved from Africa to the Middle East, and then Consensus was opening office in the UAE, and I joined. So that's how I started my crypto journey. In terms of writing, I've always been a big fan of writing anything. In fact, I really like writing poetry, short novels, and I have this schizo idea of believing parallel universe. I don't know. I think crypto really fits me, allows my imagination to somehow play in a different role, like trading meme coins, I guess. So I always just enjoy writing. I used to mainly write in Chinese. And then in 2019, I worked at Consensus, and one of the Consensus portfolio company is Decrypt. Actually, they had a merge with Rug Radio that you just mentioned. So I really wanted to write, and I wanted to write so much in English and kind of write about what's happening in crypto in China and to bridge the cultural differences. And people remember, right? For the last many cycles, crypto majority of the liquidity happens in Asia, especially with Bitcoin mining, etc. So I cold messaged the editor-in-chief. I said, "Yo, dude, like I was in San Francisco. I did a brief stint at Brave. So I was in San Francisco, and Justin Sun was visiting San Francisco. That was before he was banned, right? And I pitched to the editor-in-chief. I said, I'm going to that event. I'm going to figure out what Justin Sun did, but you give me an opportunity to write about this." So that was my first article. And ever since then, I started writing just like occasional random pieces for Decrypt on things that I thought was interesting. And then slowly, my editor-in-chief said, you have such a unique voice, way of writing, which to me is probably, I've translated a lot of things from Chinese to English, so it probably has a unique tone. He's like, "Why don't you start a column?" And then I started a column. So that was way before my Substack. So I started a column, and the column's called Da Bing, hence my name, Brother Bing. So I was never called Brother Bing before. It was really because of my column. And people started knowing me as my column and start calling me Bing. And I was like, okay, I just want to troll the internet. Like, I'll pretend to be a dude. And then I started calling myself Brother Bing or Grandpa Bing. And then the rest was history. But the writing part is really a fantastic way for me to tell stories, a fantastic way for me to think as well. I wish I write more, but I don't have time these days.
Literally had to save her from that Brother Bing confusion stuff in a chat. Like I introduced someone to her, and it was actually the OX5F, the guy from Ethos, and he's like, "Oh, love you, man! Like thanks for all this stuff." I was like, "By the way, Bing's a girl." Like it's like, and I think she enjoys making everyone like troll people for this stuff. So it's just part of her personality.
It's certainly confusing. There's a tiger, there's a brother, there's the actual human, but the explanation is very, very helpful.
Parallel universe.
Yeah, definitely different spirits and different personalities for different universes. Okay, this question wasn't planned, but you mentioned China there and how you've got obviously deep knowledge there. You've been writing about that in the West as well. I think it's fair to say our audience very much skews towards the West as things stand. What's something that you think is misunderstood in the West about the East? Or like what's like some of the knowledge that you've gained in the East that you think that other people just don't understand at the moment?
I think previously I think the Eastern market, right, especially from developer perspective, are really good at improving efficiency. Right? When they see an opportunity, they do a quick calculation of what's my cost, what's my revenue, and that's why mining, right, historically has been dominated by Asian countries, because you just intuitively know what's your return. But we have not seen a lot of like breakthrough technology project, right, coming from the East. However, I do think that's changing, because I think with the crypto infrastructure getting better and better, the Eastern builders are also very good at consumer stuff. And I think that slowly is going to shine, right? We saw, in Web2, TikTok is a great example, like that company. Too bad it can't go IPO, otherwise I think it's gonna actually go to the moon. But StepN, right, came from Chinese founders. So I think as crypto infrastructure is getting more ready, we're going to see this like more gamified, more consumer, more like attention-grabbing application coming from the East. So I think that's on the developer side. On the consumer side, I don't know if there's any difference, to be honest. I think everybody loves to ape. Everybody loves a good meme. I definitely think different memes catch different audiences, right? But I think from that extent it's different. And then obviously different countries also behave completely differently, right? Like Korean market is very much on its own. I'm slowly understanding a bit of Southeast Asian market as well. And even I think the fact that, Virtue came from a Malaysian team is extremely promising. So crypto is truly global. And then I think the East and West bridge, I don't think the two parts will completely understand each other. It's just same in real life. There's just too much cultural differences.
I think that's a really, really fair point. I like that you mentioned virtuals. We spoke to the founder on this show maybe a month or so ago, kind of before it really, really exploded. I think they were doing an awesome job, and they are doing an awesome job. Appreciate that. Want to hand over to Brett in just a second. After this question, Brett's going to focus on product. But before we get there, wanted to speak about like the process of raising and how you've been thinking about that stuff. So just to go back in time a little bit. You announced a $20 million seed round led by Dragonfly, with notable participation from angels like Vitalik, Joseph Lubin, and Kobe. I think one of the key things people want to, or are probably interested in from a builder side, is like how do you manage to get those people? Because I think it's a great signal to the market that people take a lot of confidence from. So what are the details in the process there, how you secured your lead, and how the rest of that investment flowed?
I wish I have a good answer, but I think my co-founders are just like the smartest people and also the kindest, right? So a bit of a history. So I joined MegaETH as a co-founder, but I did not start MegaETH. So MegaETH was started by Elon. And Elon was studying low latency data center compute at Stanford for 6 years, right? So we're talking about execution environment that's like in nanosecond, really fast. And I remember he always told me like, oh, what I studied was too fast for Google. So it's like there's not many places where he can apply his knowledge. And then, but because he's never in crypto, so he encountered blockchain distributed system, and he realized that, okay, all of you have been tackling performance for all these years, but there is a very obvious answer to scale an EVM blockchain, which is actually by upgrading the execution environment, which is really what MegaETH's secret sauce is. So that's one aspect. And then my second co-founder, Lei studied a distributed system at MIT for 6 years. So what does it really mean, right? Like it means like he studied consensus for 6 years at MIT. So he was collaborating with the EF. He wrote like gazillion papers with Sriram when Sriram was still a professor, and David Tech from Babylon as well. And then, and it's funny, he studied consensus for all this year, and then he realized that, hang on, for a consumer, for developers to build truly scalable application, they have to build in an environment that does not have consensus. It was quite ironic. He studied this thing for 6 years, and then he reached a conclusion that does not matter. And his specialty was distributed system, which means like not only does he understand execution environment consensus, but also data availability and everything. So he designed the whole system of MegaETH, which is incredibly heterogeneous, and then coupled with Elon's execution environment. So that gives you a extremely performance fast product. So and racing became relatively easy. So I tend to think I had an easier job because no one else could see what was the right way to scale, right? Everyone was thinking about, I want to do really fancy zero knowledge proof, but zero knowledge proof does not give you performance. Whereas to us, our North Star is be performance first. So and then so when I took the value proposition to VCs and became really clear that this thing is going to outperform the fastest chain ever, right? Like we're really talking about Solana, and we take a similar approach as Solana in terms of vertical scaling. So when I was racing, I think we were lucky enough, we got way more inbound than me having to go out and poach people. In fact, the deal was so hard, I had to reduce everyone's allocation to the minimum. So I think I had a good like easy task. But if I were to have advise anyone who's racing right now, I would think there are basically two things, right? Make sure your product is differentiated. And the second one is make sure that you're telling a differentiated story. So our product is extremely differentiated, right? Like we will always have a tech lead in the years to come, because we already iterated on our chain, and we will continue to iterate. But we are also telling a very different story, right? Like, we really do believe that we're the first real-time blockchain because our latency really differentiates us from any other EVM blockchain. And we build an ecosystem that's also extremely differentiated. So nowadays, when people think about MegaETH, they don't think about, oh, you know, MegaETH is another layer 2. Right? Like, we don't. The only reason we're so being a layer 2 is like the biggest feature ever. So I'll pause here.
I love it. Okay, so I think that's really, really interesting. Thanks for sharing. The idea of being differentiated is super important. I think that's definitely played into your favor. I'm conscious of time. We've got 15 minutes left today, so I want to go straight to Brad to get into the product details with some deep questions. Brad.
Yeah, it actually works out really well because she tackled like 20% of what I was actually going to lead into. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go a little away from the product and go more towards like ethos. Like, you're already kind of talking about like why Mega is different, like the founders, why you're kind of betting on them, which again was one of my questions. So I want to talk about, you had mentioned enabling people, low latency systems, whatever. Mega Mafia is a term people may have seen. I know in the intro, Bishek, maybe you touched on it. So you as a ecosystem builder, right? You're building a chain. You're wanting to enable some founders with 0 to 1 apps, right? And you have labeled these people the Mega Mafia, right? People you have reached out to directly to enable them to build on MegaETH because they're creatively inspired by what's possible now in your ecosystem. Why have you done that? And how do you think that bodes for the future?
Yeah, so it's real. Can I use 4-letter word on this?
Go for it.
Do it.
Oh, I just think building ecosystem is fucking hard. It's not that hard to like rip a coin, and we've seen projects, right, ripping coin by getting on centralized exchanges or like weird shit with market maker. That thing almost have a playbook, especially when the market is good. But building ecosystems is extremely difficult because no one is freaking loyal in our industry. And why is no one loyal? Because no one knows what they're trying to build, right? And so to me, the day one, the task was, you know, I know I'm building this freaking good piece of technology, but for people who are building in our ecosystem, if they can't demonstrate how good they are, then I fail as a person. And more importantly, I'm not selling a chain to this ecosystem founder, right? Like, I'm selling them a dream to be a founder. Like, they are dedicating the next 5 years of their life to MegaETH. Like, I fucking like never disappoint, but also they need to have the dog in them that they dream about their product at night. They're 24/7 on like Twitter and yapping on Kaito. I don't know, whatever it takes. So the North Star since day one was like to have people who build with us and who build things that's only possible with us. And they're building it because they want to be successful, right? Not because they want to rip a coin. So that's the North Star. And then the way we're doing it, I think, is pretty different from other chains. So we don't give out grants. We're a very small team, limited resources. And I think the most important way to kind of tell someone's character is by living with them. So this year we did a 2 residence program. One is in Berlin. I rented a shitty hotel, and then we work, and you know, I got a bunch of people who either I knew already or referred by other friends, right? So we were just in Berlin for a whole month cooking together. What are we cooking, right? Like, really push the boundary of what 0 to 1 use cases are, because you can't do this just on a weekend hackathon. You have to do it, and you have to like chat with each other, brainstorm. You have to like criticize each other. Like one of our project, Tiago Valhalla, they just came out of stealth this week. And Tiago is the most ruthless criticizer ever. So whoever demonstrates some sort of idea, Tiago's like, oh, bro, this is not going to work. Bro, this is not going to work. But after a month of like, bro, this is not going to work, like something's going to work, right? So Berlin was pretty successful. It gave us an initial set of Mega Mafia, our builders program. And then we did another one in Chiang Mai with a wider range of folks. And the goal with that was like, on the one hand, we want to get to welcome new folks, but on the other hand, deepen the camaraderie, the relationship between the existing mafia, because the synergy is very strong, right? So if you're building an autonomous world on MegaETH, you probably need a DEX. You probably need a lending protocol in your autonomous world, right? And if there's no builders program, you're probably going to go out in the wild and you have no idea what to do. But by having a cohort of build, everyone is pushing from 0 to 1, and everyone is deeply rooted for each other's success. It becomes very collaborative. Very much we build together, we win this together. So I think that's a secret of building our ecosystem. But again, our chain does not exist, right? So everything I'm saying is just like me talking. But I do think it represents our principle is we want to find people who are not grifty, who have the ambition to build in big. And I want to put everything together in the same room, and they're going to fight with each other. And hopefully one day they will love each other.
Love it. All right. So that was the upside stuff. I think I'm pretty bullish on what you're building with. Again, Mega Mafia is the term for that cohort. Taking it to the other side, I got to give you a critical question before we get out of here. Like you talk about MegaETH and the capacity that it can handle, and then you talk about Solana, like you're trying to replace them. Solana even today doesn't meet the capacity that it can achieve, and we're aiming to be orders of magnitude larger than that. Where is that demand going to come from?
The
how are we going
demand.
to fill those blocks? Yeah.
How are we going to fill? Yeah, no, there's no block. I love you. Chain does not exist. Yeah, I think that it's the obvious answer is to have applications, right? Application that obfuscate the complexity of the blockchain, like applications that provide emotional value to end users. I do think that crypto is a lot about just trading coins, but imagine like gamify the entire trading experiences, right? Like onboarding, like you're not just buying coin on top-down fund, but you're like one of our ecosystem project called AWE, and what they're doing is turning each shitcoin into a cube on the sky, and every time you're a little person in the virtual world, and every time you touch the cube, you're buying like $1 of that coin, right? Like this type of stuff is fun. It's schizo, and it goes viral. So I think the block demand coming from this like next generation consumer application that's also deeply having the crypto native primitive, which is like trading coins, right? Any ecosystem that doesn't worship trading coins, I don't think they're going to be successful. We love trading coins. Our entire team just like loves coins. You don't love coins? I don't think you should be in crypto. So yeah, I think apps are important. I think the second part that we are probably doing differently is a lot of our ecosystem actually don't target crypto natives. Again, you might consider this as like, oh, so many projects have tried that, good luck. But we have Web2 founders who are obsessed with TikTok, right? Their initial go-to-market is not Twitter, it's just TikTok. And they're going to grow TikTok into a few million followers. And that is where mass adoption happens. So I think in the next few years, we will actually see pop culture, like pop consumer stuff that's originated outside of crypto Twitter, and it's just going to bring more people.
All right, I'm conscious of time here. I'm going to pass this on to Legendary so we can talk about some of those users and maybe how they get access to what MegaETH is.
Yeah, absolutely. I very much like this concept of fairness, trust, how you mentioned it in different stages, the living together part and everything. And that seems to be something that's very important to you. It kind of also reflected, in my opinion, the community round that you did on Echo. Echo, for those who don't know, being that investment platform that gives basically private individuals as well as VCs, or gives private individuals access to invest to similar terms or the same terms as VCs in projects that they like. And you did this $10 million round in Echo, which sold out in seconds. And I kind of want to ask you on that, why is this community first, this community focused approach so important to you?
Yeah, well, because I think that's how all of us made money in the first place. No one made money from being dumped on VC. Honestly, I think every cycle you have people who are being dumped on and they leave, they like never come back, right? So again, gotta worship the coins, gotta worship where the market is going. Gotta love modern markets, but more importantly, right? I wasn't sure how to convey this when. Even Bloomberg Crypto interviewed me yesterday to include this in their newsletter. I didn't know how to say it, but truth is, it was I got so much VC demand earlier this year. Like everyone was like wanted to give me a lot of money, and it was very tempting because we didn't raise a lot of money, and building a blockchain is fucking expensive. So I could have taken the money, and then there's gonna be some big headline, like, you know, raise at, I don't know, 10-figure valuation, and I become a very important person, right? But I guess it's all ego. This does not matter. I think what really drove our team was people need early skin again. That's how everybody make money, and let's respect the market. But the second one is if you don't loop community early in, you're not actually building the product catering to community's needs. So to me, building a blockchain is also about product market fit. It's definitely not about ripping a coin or whatsoever. But now, for example, after the Echo sale, we have a 2,000 people Telegram group, and they're basically telling stuff, right? We had no information like that before. So this is almost like you're building a product and you're doing customer discovery, right? The customer will tell you like, oh, I want the button to be here. But now our community is telling us maybe like, oh, I want to see AI coins. Right? And that will inspire me to onboard builder who's building in this space. So to me, looping community in early on is to give everyone skin in the game, and it's helping us to build better products. It's also giving early community access to our Mega Mafia ecosystem, right? Because these people will also be the first people who are going to use the apps. And I think lastly, when we discuss internally, someone mentioned like, you know, this is how Ethereum started. Like, right? Like, I think somehow for the past 3-4 years, people got so used to having this VC coin. But back in 2017, when we started, it was the Ethereum way. So we decided to do the Echo sale.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it also like shapes a completely different kind of community. We've seen that very recently with Hype and the success that they have been having, not only as a platform, but also specifically past the TG, and also specifically in this market conditions. We didn't talk about it today, but if you look at the Hype chart, that looks actually pretty good. But going back to the Echo sale, because it sold out in seconds, and I also have missed it, I have to ask this question. What is the next opportunity to get exposure to MegaETH? Will there be other opportunities to get exposure to MegaETH?
Yeah, the most important thing I would say that you definitely don't need to grind in our Discord. So we're not that type of project. I think we are cooking some more crypto native way to invite more community to our ecosystem. And there are a few groups we're trying to target, right? Like people who've contributed significantly to our ecosystem, people who built stuff, and obviously our core community supporter as well. So like, don't just go G-Mega in our Discord, but if you have something active you want to contribute, please do. So yeah, we're going to have more easier way. I think Echo was already extremely egalitarian because no matter if you're a whale or shrimp, you get the same allocation. We're going to continue with that ethos. Everyone gets the same. Like MegaETH is going to be the most egalitarian protocol.
I love it. Just being conscious of time because we only have like 2 to 3 minutes left in the show. One final question: is there anything else you'd like to share on MegaETH? Anything specific that the community can look forward to in 2025?
I am so excited about the Mega Mafia projects. Really think about next generation DeFi protocol, trading as smooth as centralized exchanges, thinking about consumer application that actually allow you to have fun while aping into the coins that you love. Think about decentralized VPN. It's going to protect your data when you surf the internet. Think about decentralized Luma, which is Lemonade, that really record your social graph, both off-chain and on-chain. What I would say is we are taking huge risk, experimenting with founders who are trying to create touch points between crypto and real life. And I think a lot of us will fail. But I'd rather fail than never trying. And I would encourage everyone who's listening, right? Give crypto application a chance. If you are listening to this, if you love the industry, use the blockchain, use the apps. And I think we can work on this together to make the apps actually useful, and then more people will join us on this journey.
Love it, Bing. That's so helpful. I think it's a nice message there to say to people, look, you're trying to go big, and just doing the same VC circle and focusing on crypto Twitter forever is not going to bring the mass adoption that I think people are dreaming of. So We appreciate you so much for your time. I think that was a really interesting and thoughtful conversation. I hope everyone in the audience enjoyed it. We had 1,300 watching in, and we had a good couple hundred in the spaces too. I'm just going to share your socials so people can check you out and follow along. So we've got the MegaETH account, of course, and your personal account is at hotpot_DAO. That's right, correct? Anywhere else people should follow along?
Everyone is following Brad already, I assume, and join our Discord if you actually enjoy Discord, but don't feel obliged to grind.
There we go. Thanks so much for joining us, Bing. Just a reminder, guys, as always, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour. We're available here on X Video, Twitter Spaces, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, if that's where you prefer to catch up. We will be back with you on Monday. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.